The overarching question is, how much momentum do you think the housing market has right now?
Well, our theme for this year was the economy's slowing, the Fed slowed, and housing plateaued. So our thought is this looks a lot like the 2013-2014 timeframe with the taper tantrum, which rose rates in second half of 2013, slowed housing in the first half of 14, but then rates came back down and housing picked up in the second half of 14. So if you look at rates rising in 18,
right,
they're now coming back down in 19. The one thing that's different on the house side is that house price appreciation was very strong for the intervening years between 14 and 18. So you've got a higher level of house price, and you have a lack of supply at the low end, which is going to constrain sales at that end.
Yeah, how out of whack, have things gotten? We've talked a lot this week about how much investors are still active in the housing market, buying up homes, in some cases crowding out would-be first-time home buyers because they're then turning around to use those properties for the rental market, where a lot of that typical first-time home buyer would be. In response to that, I've even heard people suggest that maybe it's time we have a 50-year mortgage so that housing can be more affordable for people, which is true, but would also push prices up even further. So how distorted do things look to you?
Well, that's right. That's one of the things that we watch at the company is because we're essentially a demand-side phenomenon. If you ease credit terms, it increases the level of demand. And if supply is not increasing at a rapid pace, you're just accelerating the price increase. So you've seen a flattening in credit criteria as opposed to continued easing in that space. The problem now is really on the supply side of the equation. The boomers are doing what they said they were going to do. They're aging in place. And builders typically build to the first-time move-up buyer, which opens the door for entry-level buyers at the existing home space. It's also the case that the Gen X has a role in this, in that lots of those were damaged in the financial crisis. And if they own a house and they're saying, we already own the land, let's tear the roof off and add another floor.
Right.
That actually takes some labor out of the new home construction space and slows the growth of new home construction.
That's fascinating. So let me just put a pin on this. If you say that basically what you're suggesting is that if we do anything more to stimulate demand, lower rates, et cetera, the Fed speak, that it's going to be a problem because supply can't match that. Supply can't increase.
That's right. The question is how fast builders can increase supply. And they've been doing so steadily, but not at the same pace as the growth of demand, which is really today being driven by younger households, the millennials in particular.